Not only grown-ups can sing, we can too.
So easy on me, baby. I was still a child, didn't get the chance to.
CBC TV 8 is having a kids karaoke show just for us. So children between the ages of 5 to 17 comment and join in for fun. Email nfroster@cbc.bb. Hear you soon. Bye.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. CBC, celebrating 60, connecting Barbadian communities. Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout or Brownie Pack, or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aagrant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroke Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives. And when in doubt, leave it out.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
98.1 The One is more than a station.
We don't just play music, we keep your company, cheer you up, keep you informed and entertained. We're a vibe. What do you mean?
Every day we bring the party to you.
We are your #1 party station.
We love playing music for our listeners.
And we're committed to working with our clients and advertisers to make sure that you get the attention that you deserve.
98.1 The One.
Celebrating 18 and still your #1 party station.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate.
This is the CBC Morning Report for today, Tuesday, October 17th. I'm Tisha Hines. Good morning. In our top story, the Barbados National Standards Institution, now 50 years, has restructured, and its 2023 to 2026 work program is poised to create measures to stimulate economic growth. Director Hayden Rind, speaking at the BNSI Visibility Summit, says they are also looking at the strategic quality solutions to deal with the economic problems of Barbados.
We are tasked with developing what they call the country's national quality infrastructure. It's known as NQI for short. And it's a difficult task because although many businesses take high quality of goods and high quality of services seriously, there's still the need for many to embrace quality as a competitive strategy and apply a quality mindset to all activities. So we're on the road, but we're still a way to go where Barbados and Barbadian businesses and Barbadian citizens really embrace what we call a quality culture, where you're not positioning just for shortcuts or to meet the mere minimum obligations for compliance. We're saying no, we have to develop quality as an overall strategy. We have to have a culture of quality Barbadians for our businesses. And that's a shift. That's a paradigm shift, and that will take increased effort, not just from the BNSI, but we do need a holistic approach and a concentrated national program to have quality as a complete strategy for Barbados.
Mr. Rind says the creation of a quality culture can only come about with policies coming from the very top.
Speaking to the promotion of quality so that we can develop these centers of excellence that we're all striving for. Policies on trade facilitation, policy on market access, PS. Policy on relationships with the international organizations that we are increasing our cooperation and our relationships. Policy on technical cooperation agreements. Policy on the way that we procure goods and services in Barbados. So the national quality policy really will embrace all sectors, all of our developing sectors, where policy for quality is really going to be an embedded strategy. The implementation of the policy is going to be through a National Quality Council, and that's a 7-member council. Again, we're in the process of implementing the council to really drive the quality policy implementation in Barbados.
Mr. Rind also pointed out that the agency has been instrumental in preventing technical barriers to trade through its adherence to international standards.
We hosted the Pan American Standards Commission. They're commonly known as COPANT. We were able to host their General Assembly for the very first time in the Caribbean. right here in Barbados, and that was April 23rd to 26th, we were able to host the COPANT General Assembly with tremendous success. So the government of Barbados and business community, we are able now to cultivate those new relationships as we seek to have international quality experts partner with us as we build out our quality infrastructure.
Coming up on the morning report, the UN has expressed deep concern about the deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kia Lewis, General Practitioner and Healthy Lifestyle Advocate. Good nutrition starts at home. So this school year, I want you to consider packing healthy, nutritious snacks and lunches for your children to carry, rather than having them buy them at school. And don't just pack things you think they should have. Have a discussion and come up with things that you both know they will enjoy.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink.
The UN Emergency Relief Chief, Martin Griffiths, has expressed deep concern about the deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the fate of Israeli hostages.
And even before this latest escalation, over half of the Gaza population was dependent on UN food aid. So now no aid has gotten in since October 7th, and the situation on the ground is increasingly dire. Martin Griffiths, the humanitarian aid chief for the United Nations, is on his way to Egypt Tuesday. He says he's been negotiating hourly between Egypt, Israel, trying to find ways to get aid in. He announced that the EU is going to triple its aid to Gaza, which he welcomed, and they are working on what he described as an air bridge to fly supplies to Egypt, but those supplies still have to get into Gaza, and that's the problem with the borders closed and the fighting continuing. The UN says it just can't move the supplies in, it can't get them into Gaza, it can't move easily within Gaza, and it's an increasingly difficult situation. 400,000 people are now in UN shelters in Gaza. 400,000 people. These are normally schools, and they are used as shelters. They have been set up to be used as shelters, but they're just overwhelmed. There's so many people that they can't handle them all. And now the refugees, the displaced people, are moving into other buildings like a warehouse to try to find shelter there, but they're not set up to house people. There's one toilet for hundreds of people. And so while they're running out of food, they're running out of water, they're running out of power. If they lose power, then the hospitals, if they lose fuel, then the hospitals won't be able to run their generators and they won't be able to help people who are on life support. So the situation we're hearing from UN aid workers in Gaza, and there are 13,000 of them in Gaza, is that they're increasingly desperate. The UN person that was talking about this today described it as hell on earth, and increasingly people are frightened and scared and feel that they have nowhere to run. At the very least, the UN is focused on getting them aid as soon as possible. All efforts are focused on that, as I said, with Griffiths going to the region, but no breakthroughs, no major breakthroughs yet.
There's only one independent international institution that could investigate and prosecute these international crimes, the International Criminal Court, and there are calls for the ICC to speak up.
After thousands of deaths in Gaza and Israel, calls for international justice are growing by the day.
They let Israel get away with everything. And what happened now is really bad for Israel. I feel sorry. But it was also caused by this occupation and 75 years of misery.
Human Rights Watch, a leading human rights organization, has urged the International Criminal Court to issue a formal statement on the escalating situation between Israel and Hamas. The ICC did make this announcement a few days after Russia's invasion into Ukraine. It has since issued an arrest warrant against Russian President Vladimir Putin. Many eyes are now on the International Criminal Court, which, according to the Rome Statute, has not only been established to provide justice to victims of war crimes, but also to prevent war crimes. With events unfolding in Israel and Gaza, the court has remained pretty quiet.
Why, until this very moment, there is no arrest warrant for someone like Netanyahu? He's openly committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. Why there is no arrest warrants against Israeli leaders who have been issuing genocidal statements.
Since 2021, the ICC has jurisdiction in the occupied Palestinian territories, and numerous cases, including the killing of Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, have been filed. In his only comment so far, the ICC prosecutor has said that possible war crimes committed by Hamas can be investigated.
The Rome Statute is clear. We have jurisdiction on the territory of a state party, and we have jurisdiction in relation to conduct committed by nationals of state parties.
Meanwhile, the civilian death toll increases by the day, and victims of possible war crimes don't have the luxury of waiting for justice.
Well, it's time now to preview what's coming up on Morning Barbados. Today we're having our conversations on CARICOM back as the Ambassador Kamashong is back in the island. We'll also be telling you about Boss Ladies United and sharing how they are working to empower women all across Barbados and the Caribbean. And we commence a new series on dealing with grief. That and a whole lot more is coming up on Morning Barbados at 6:30. But next we have more news, sports and weather. So stay with us.
It's summer vacation, and CBC TV8 says laugh a little. Your mid-mornings have now included some family-friendly, side-splitting series like The Partridge Family, Benson, and Designing Women. TV not to be missed this vacation. Weekdays from 10 a.m. on CBC TV8. It's Match Day Live from the 246 with host Damian Best. Your all-access pass to the action.
The Caribbean Court of Justice has reserved judgment in the latest hearing arising from efforts to extradite former insurance executive Alex Tasker. The court has also indicated the stay of previous rulings remains in effect until the judgment has been delivered. In the matter before the court, Mr. Tasker is seeking to reopen his application for special leave to appeal to the CCJ. He had applied for the special leave to appeal the decision of the Court of Appeal in Barbados. That court had dismissed his attempt to appeal the order for him to surrender to the United States Authority to face charges for money laundering and conspiracy to launder money. On July 31st this year, the CCJ dismissed Mr. Tasker's application for special leave on the grounds that no arguable case was advanced by him to justify the grant of special leave. In this latest hearing, the CCJ is considering Mr. Tasker's application to reopen his application for special leave, whether the court's decision dismissing his application should be reversed, and if it is, whether his appeal should be allowed. Mr. Tasker has been linked to the scandal involving former government minister Donville Innes, who spent 2 years in a U.S. jail for his role in a scheme to launder bribe payments from a Barbados-based insurance company through bank accounts in New York. Government has launched an initiative to teach youth about the consequences of bad actions. A major part of it is a series of special tours to the prison at Dodds. CBC's Ron Brathwaite was there.
The initiative is part of government's National Peace Program. Minister in the Office of the Attorney General with responsibility for crime prevention, Corey Lane, provided more details while touring the prison with more than a dozen youth from the program.
This initiative, however, is really looking at prison experience as part of our consequences initiative in the National Peace Program. And what is consequences? In working with young people for a while, looking at the research and understanding the issues, one of the things that we've picked up is that after people come to prison, they say, well, I didn't even know. Because they see prison on television. They see prison out of the eyes and mouths of people who return home and don't tell you the whole story, because some things are hard, some things are embarrassing. And I thought it important to have this different type of experience and tour.
Mr. Lane has also highlighted the success of the Government Peace Initiative and its impact on crime prevention across the country. He's also defended the recent launch of the reflective journals supplied to prisoners, which has received some public criticism.
I think it's important to listen to everything and take constructive criticism, because the public thought it was about the donation of crayons, when really and truly it was about empowering inmates to write. And that has helped us with a number of cases, that has helped us with even designing our programs. Now we can understand some of their deep feelings.
The youngsters received some advice from one inmate who has about 5 more years to serve.
That's about 15, bro. Ain't really in my part. They went soon on it, so you know what I mean? No school is all about and when you said everybody seeing it's like, so woman influence you don't influence them. It's like, but still should keep your head on.
Some of the youth spoke about the experience.
All I can say is try your best to keep out of the prison system, because it's not easy. It may sound like care, it may look like care, it's not care.
Prison is not really the place you want to be, so I advise people to go to school, learn and stop minding friends. And just do what you gotta do and keep yourself out of as much trouble as you can.
They're seeing things on television and telling themselves that is how it's going, but usually the physical setting is not being the same as what is being televised. So we are bringing them here to the prison today so it can assist in acting as a deterrent to not end up here.
Mr. Lane is encouraging Barbadians, if possible, to visit the prison at Dodds this month during the open days to get a look at its operations. Ron Brathwaite, CBC News.
Thank you, Ron. Government is insisting it will be making strong efforts to put arable lands in Barbados back into production. It's coming from Minister of Agriculture Indar Ware, who made the comment at the launch of the Grow Green initiative as Barbados marked UN World Food Day yesterday. CBC's Trevor Thorpe reports.
They're concerned some landowners are taking arable land out of production for a considerable amount of time and then applying for change of land use. However, Agriculture Minister Indar Ware is sending a strong message to the property holders about the practice.
People also need to get off this notion that they can take land out of production for 20 years and then go for subdivision. This minister does not subscribe to that, so they can take their minds off that until I'm gone, because it's not going to happen under my watch. And if I'm going to be fair to everybody, I would give you the option of growing grass. That's as far as it goes. I would give you the option of growing energy plants like sugarcane or king grass, because we're going to need that in the privatization of the sugar industry.
The minister also told the ceremony other challenges develop from unused properties.
There's an opportunity for people to do crime. So you're at risk. It encourages monkeys. We need to get them back to their natural habitat. And it encourages dumping, which is a health hazard as well. So however you look at it, those lands we have to get back into production. I think the owners equally have a responsibility in ensuring, one, that they don't grow bush, but they can grow pastures. If they grow grass, we can use it for livestock farming. So that is one of the things that they would have to make up their mind about.
The minister says more people are aware of the importance of food security as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change.
You will probably be safer. I can't guarantee you safety, but you will be safer if everybody can eat a food. If people cannot eat, they're going to rob you who they consider comfortable and able to eat. That is going to lead to chaos. It would lead to riots.
Minister Bear says prevailing conditions and the calls to feed ourselves are bearing fruit. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Closely monitored by the Barbados National Standards Institution. The revelation came as the BNSI celebrated its 50th anniversary and marked the start of World Standards Week. CBC's Trevor Thorpe again reports.
Addressing the congregation, Minister Husbands called for a re-energized commitment to the standards that have shaped our lives and that of our nation.
Standards may not always be at the forefront of our minds, but they are the invisible thread that weaves through the fabric of our society. They are the benchmarks that ensure the products we use, the services we receive, and the systems we depend on meet the highest levels of quality, safety, and reliability. Standards are the foundation upon which trust, innovation, and progress are built.
The minister also highlighted the link between standards and Barbados' thrust towards a greener future.
They are essential in ensuring our energy systems are reliable, resilient, and environmentally responsible.
Chairman of the BNSI, Ryan Brathwaite, said businesses must look at putting quality first as standards are constantly evolving. He added that the construction industry is an area of focus for the institution.
We are going into a period now where we have to focus on standards as it relates to our construction. We have to ensure that businesses put quality first. It is something that will be always relevant. So the BNSA would remain relevant because we have to ensure that persons conform to these standards. And it is, as we said, 50 years is a long time, but in another 50 years, we're going to see the evolution of more standards, more areas that businesses will need to make sure that they conform to.
A webinar and a forum on front of package labeling are among the topics for discussion during World Standards Week. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Over 170 people have lost their lives on Guyana's roadways so far for this year. Traffic Chief Senior Superintendent Mahendra Singh says speeding and drunk driving are big causes for concern. According to information released by the Guyana Police Force, there were 138 fatalities from 116 accidents dating from January 1st to October 8th. There were also 33 deaths resulting from 32 incidents on the roadways. The traffic chief says due to the spike in deaths, he's trying to crack down on errant drivers.
You have persons who would have lost their lives in the prime of their existence, persons who are educated. They may not have commenced the process and or the project, as life is also having a time span, to contribute significantly to their families, themselves as an individual, and the country as a whole. And there they went, either as a result of the inattentiveness of one driver, the drunken state of another, the speed with which they travel, which is way above the limit. Much of what we are experiencing in terms of a fatal accident, those are the three primary causes. And our educational aspect, all of the sensitization programs, be it from a bumper sticker, a flyer distribution. We go to the bars and we speak to the owners as well as those who are imbibing or socializing. Everything we do that is allowable at this time. And naturally more options will come because there are suggestion boxes at each regional police division at the headquarters specifically for traffic.
In sports, the regional Super 50 will open in the morning with a clash between hosts Trinbago Knight Riders and combined campuses and colleges at Queen's Park Oval from 9 o'clock. The game will be followed by Guyana Harpy Eagles up against Windward Islands Volcanoes from 1 p.m. at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. MCTV's ESPN channel has been broadcasting some of the games. Barbados Pride's first fixture will be against Jamaica Scorpions on Friday at 9 a.m. And that's today's morning report. Our next newscast is at 12 noon here on TV8, followed by The World at 1 on our radio network of stations on 100.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM. It's time now for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
And a special good morning to you. It is Tuesday, October 17th. Welcome to another Morning Barbados presentation. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be here with you until 8 o'clock this morning. I certainly hope you had a great night's rest and you're ready to go for another day. Boy, do we have a show planned for you today. We're going to be telling you about a group called Boss Ladies United and talk about all the wonderful work they're doing to empower Barbadian women and women of the region, women generally. So the ladies are going to be passing through to tell us a little more about that. Plus, we are talking about International Infection Prevention Week, and we have a number of representatives of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, of the Infection Prevention and Control Department, who are going to be in to tell us more about that. So very interesting. And these days we're seeing lots of viruses and so on going around. Of course, on the heels of the pandemic, we're taking all the advice we can get in that particular area. Also on today's show, we are starting off a new series here on Morning Barbados on dealing with grief. Now, we've recognized that there are many of us who have lost loved ones or even lost relationships, close friendships, marriages, what have you, and we're not sure how to deal with the grief of loss. That's evident with everything that's happening across the island. We most certainly have been hearing about more suicides, and in taking mental health and wellness into consideration, we thought it necessary to be able to share this with you. So you can look out for the start to that today with Deborah Francis, who is project coordinator for Seasons for Growth Grief Education. She's going to be in to share with us. Plus, we're introducing more of the wonderful people who will be representing Barbados at the Pan American Games. They're going to be jetting off soon, so we'll have a few more of them coming through. And our very own Jaquila Lewis is going to be in. You know her from QFM. She, of course, is the host of QTV, and you listen in to her on QFM as well. While Q is happening, she went off to London for Q in London, so she's going to report to us on exactly how that went. So all that's coming up here on today's presentation of Morning Barbados. But usually on Tuesday, we take the opportunity to check in with His Excellency David Comichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, to find out exactly what's happening and how things are going. Last week, he was unable to join us because he was traveling. Now he is back. Before we get into that, though, today is International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. Now, the theme for 2023 is decent work and social protection, putting dignity in practice for all. The International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, celebrated annually on this day, aims to promote understanding and dialogue between people living in poverty and the wider society. This year's theme draws on first-hand testimonials showing that those trapped in extreme poverty often work long, grueling hours in dangerous, unregulated conditions, but still can't earn enough income to adequately support themselves and their families. And here in Barbados, I think that we pay attention to poverty, but maybe not enough, because there are so many people who every single day they're literally struggling, and it's not because they're lazy, it's because they're just not able to earn enough to make ends meet. So as I always say, see if we can do something nice for someone today, and we can report on it together or with your family. Just do it, because you'll feel better for it, and it'll be a better society for it as well. Today is also Black Poetry Day, which is celebrated to honor all the talented Black poets out there. So a special good morning to all the poets around Barbados, both past and present. So if you're a literature enthusiast, poet or writer, no matter your race though, you will absolutely love Black poetry, where you can celebrate Black heritage and history and enjoy poetry as well. So for the carb lovers, did I say lovers? Carb lovers, those in the U.S. Are celebrating Pasta Day today, so lots of celebrations. And they say it's a holiday established in 1995, when 40 pasta producers from around the world gathered to hold the globe's first World Pasta Congress. I don't know if I want to be a part of that. I know in Barbados we love macaroni. There are other types of pasta too, but Barbados is probably the macaroni pasta of the world. Some people love lasagna, that's on the side. Some people will go for penne, that's okay. But the average Barbadian wants macaroni pie. I know that. All right, so with that said, we're wishing you a wonderful day and hoping that you can stay with us. For those of you who are going to make that long and arduous commute owing to the traffic, not because we're a long distance from where you're heading, we wish you the very best. And who knows, you might be able to plug us in and listen as you go along, as long as it's not a distraction. It's time for us to welcome the Barbados ambassador to CARICOM back to Morning Barbados. We missed him last week, and now he's back, His Excellency David Comichong. And today we're going to be looking at the just concluded Caribbean Week of Agriculture and the meeting of CARICOM's Council for Trade and Development, which was held in the Bahamas. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, Tisha. It's nice to know that I was missed.
Absolutely. But it's wonderful to have you with us this morning and back in the island. So I'm going to leave you to give us a report on everything that happened at the just concluded Caribbean Week of Agriculture.
Yes, well, the Caribbean celebrated Caribbean Week of Agriculture last week under the theme of Accelerating Vision 25 by 2025. And of course, that is the CARICOM project of reducing the regional food import bill by 25% by the year 2025. I must say, Caribbean Week of Agriculture was a real eye-opener to me. This is the first time I've attended a Caribbean Week of Agriculture. I was called upon because Minister Inda Weir was not able to lead the delegation. I was called upon to lead a Barbados delegation that included Ms. Keely Holder, the Chief Agricultural Officer, Dr. Mark Trotman, our Chief Veterinary Officer, Dr. Leroy McLean, who is a consultant on the Black Belly Sheep project, and Dr. Beverly Wood, the Director of Government Analytical Services. So we held the Barbados flag aloft at Caribbean Week of Agriculture in Nassau, Bahamas. Caribbean Week of Agriculture is a massive event. It is a project that is put on by the CARICOM Secretariat in collaboration with the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, and a CARICOM institution known as the CARICOM Agricultural Research and Development Institute. So every 2 years for 1 week, they bring together all of the stakeholders, both from the public sector and the private sector, the stakeholders in agriculture. And the whole idea is to spend that week really putting agriculture on the front burner, looking at all of the issues pertaining to agriculture and emphasizing the importance of agriculture and the rural sector to national development. So, and as I indicated, this year, the whole focus was on that CARICOM 25 by 25 project. Concluding the Week of Agriculture was CARICOM's Council for Trade and Economic Development, the agriculture iteration of COTED. We call it COTED, the Council for Trade and Economic Development. And the main focus of that meeting, I would say, was to reflect on the 25 by 25 project to get a report from the Special Ministerial Task Force that is overseeing that project. And the good news is, Tisha, that we are on track. We are making progress. So it was a massive week of activities, close to 50 different meetings and events, all kinds of technical workshops and exhibitions and discussions and institutional meetings, culminating with the meeting of that CARICOM council known as COTED.
Now, I know that you made a few short videos that you would like for us to share from the opening ceremony of the week.
Yeah. Well, the opening ceremony, the very first, as soon as I got off the plane in Nassau, I headed to the opening ceremony. And the highlights were, of course, the address by Prime Minister Philip Davis of the Bahamas. Other highlights were awards. There was an award for Farmer of the Year, Mr. Peter McConnell of Jamaica, and the Young Farmer of the Year, Ms. Deandra Rowe of Jamaica. And of course, you can't have an opening ceremony without the arts and culture. We had a beautiful presentation from a children's choir of the Bahamas. So to give this report a little of the flair of Caribbean Week, if you could share some snippets from those videos, that would be good.
Natural disasters and climate-driven extreme weather events. Despite these challenges, I remain hopeful about our agricultural prospects. In the past year, the percentage of people facing food security issues has decreased, and we are all well on our way to achieving the goal of reducing regional food imports by 25% by 2025. In fact, collectively, we have achieved 50% of this ambitious target. This represents a great stride forward when it comes to feeding ourselves and creating a sustainable agriculture industry. The Caribbean is poised to see an agricultural boom. Even in historically difficult environments, we are seeing innovations that allow for sustainable farming practices, sustainable from a food production perspective as well as a business model perspective. While this progress gives us hope, it will take more than just hope to fulfill our agricultural potential. It requires united action, innovation, and an unwavering commitment to feeding ourselves as a regional policy priority. Accelerating Mission 25 by 2025 is more than just a slogan. It's our shared mission. It's an ambitious journey that recognizes the urgency of our present and the potential of our future. We have learned from the challenges of the past 3 years and emerged more resilient and purpose-driven than ever. Here in the Bahamas, we are making unprecedented investments in food production and food security in the form of climate, land, and research grants, and provision of infrastructural support to packing houses, abattoirs, and other publicly funded facilities. We also have plans to drive a domestic takeover of egg production with a long-term goals of targeting the lucrative poultry market. We're not alone. Countries like Belize are investing in significantly boosting agricultural production. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the innovative OECS Agricultural Competitiveness Project linked domestic farms to opportunities within the local tourism market. In Jamaica, the work continues to expand and diversify food exports. And many others throughout the region are following suit. We are uniquely prepared to overcome the existing challenges. While the global community has recently come to terms with the fragility of international food systems, for us in the Caribbean, this has always been the reality. We need to look no further than a few miles to the south at the Bahamian island of Eleuthera. In the 1800s,
every presentation really only comes back to food security when we talk about what's happening across the Caribbean, Ambassador Commichong. So always very interesting to hear from leaders and recognize that no matter where you go across the region, the story really seems to be the same.
Yes, we learned the lesson during COVID-19 that we have to enhance our food security. You would have heard Prime Minister Davis referring to some of the successes of some of the countries as we pursue this project, this 25 by 25 project. I can tell you, we also heard from the ministerial task force that Barbados is making progress in achieving the target. Some of the highlights of Barbados's progress would be the fact that we have added an expansion of 100 acres to our agricultural land lease program. We in Barbados have also launched a $15 million new tissue lab that will help us with our planting material. We are also leading CARICOM in terms of putting the new sanitary and phytosanitary legislation in place. Barbados has forged ahead. The whole idea of the sanitary and phytosanitary regulations and legislation is to remove non-tariff barriers to the trade in agricultural products within our region. And in addition to those achievements for Barbados, we all know that we have commenced upon the construction of an agricultural research park here in Barbados at Jukes in St. Thomas. And hopefully very soon from now, the actual construction on the food terminal at Lears, that will begin. As we understand it, the work is well advanced in terms of bringing us to the stage where we will actually break ground on that 7-acre site at Lears. That once that food terminal plant is established, that will position Barbados as a hub within the Caribbean region, CARICOM, for import and export of food products. You know, that will be a facility with warehouses, refrigeration facilities, agro-processing facilities to make Barbados a very important hub of agriculture and agricultural products within our region. So yes, we were warned that even while we are pursuing this project, that there are lots of challenges are coming our way. The heat, climate change, the very hot temperatures we have been experiencing, that has been producing additional challenges for our farmers. The inflation, the worldwide inflation, that is making food products, imported food products, more expensive. So that will increase the same food import bill that we are trying to reduce. The inflation is working against us. even agricultural inputs that our farmers need to import to use in their farming operations. The inflation is hitting those as well. So, we are kind of swimming against the tide. But the good news is, in spite of all of those negative developments at the level of production, agricultural production, we are making progress, and we are fundamentally on track to achieve the 25% reduction. Of course, there are things that we still have to tweak, but the general report from the Special Ministerial Task Force, and that's a task force of ministers of agriculture from across the region, is that we are making acceptable progress.
All right, the thing about agriculture is once you start talking, then there's so many areas you can go into, and talking about the 25 production reduction by 2025, the 25% reduction by 2025 is definitely an area that we have to delve into. So maybe this is a topic that we can revisit on another part of the series. I want to thank you as always for coming in. Very insightful, and a lot of the times we're not fully aware of what's happening down the region, but it certainly is very important for us to note and reassuring to know that so much is happening across CARICOM. Thank you, Ambassador.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Tisha.
All right, we'll see the Ambassador again next Tuesday right here on Morning Barbados. Well, coming up, I told you, is International Infection Prevention Week, and we have a number of professionals who do this work every single day. They're sharing with us this morning on Morning Barbados. You don't want to miss it. That's coming up next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's Match Day Live from the 246 with host Damian Best. Your all-access pass to the action happening in the BFA Premier League and beyond. Every last Monday of the month on CBC TV8. Kickoff time, 8:30 p.m. with analysis from our panel and highlights of the top performances. You can weigh in on the discussion via WhatsApp on 228-5562. It's Match Day Live from the 246. Don't you miss it.
My friend, you don't plan to get it. Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
I'm Anne St. John, a consultant.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Now, infection preventionists really play a crucial role in keeping the public safe and healthy. In addition to fighting a global pandemic, the infection prevention and control community is protecting us from surges in healthcare-associated infections, measles outbreaks, flu season, and so many other day-to-day infectious battles. I remember thinking during COVID, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could see all these little germs flying around that are on our hands and we're spreading about? But no such luck. So we have some fighters who are working to help us, and it's wonderful to have them with us this morning as we look toward International Infection Prevention Week. Keisha Gustav is here. She's an Infection Prevention and Control Officer at the QEH. Also here is Marcia Burton, who is an Infection Prevention and Control Nurse. And Romel Jones has also joined us. He is a Hospital Infection Prevention and Control Assistant. Again, all at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good to have you with us. And first of all, it's wonderful that we're hearing about the observance of this week. That really is meant to highlight a lot more of the work that you do. So I'm going to start with you, Ms. Gustave. Tell us a little bit about what you do as an infection prevention and control officer. That's a great big title, but on the day-to-day, what is it that your job entails?
Well, technically, I am part of, well, you say the sergeant of the police of the hospital, and that is exactly what infection prevention and control does. We are the police of healthcare. And with any day-to-day, we look at mitigation strategies. So one of the things that we do is to make sure that all patients are safe, and that is it. So we make sure that persons are washing their hands correctly. We make sure that surgical procedures are sterile techniques. We've governed cleaning and disinfections, and we have a robust educational program.
I'm going to tell you, Nurse Burton, and some people will not admit this. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys today, because, you know, I never knew that I had to wash all this till COVID, all this. Like, nobody ever told me. So I've been washing my hands incorrectly for, let me not call all the years, for a long time. But all this and the PAM, and I never knew all that until COVID. I mean, it was like really just a lesson all over again. So what are some of the areas that people might not be au fait with that we really should be paying more attention to coming out of COVID, and on any average day that you guys have really discovered that you maybe pay more attention to, and we really should get on board with it?
Well, we understand that there's a technique, as you were talking about washing your hands, there's a technique to it. And we want persons to observe that technique so that you can decontaminate your hands properly. Because gone are the days you could just stick your hands on the pipe, shake it off, and good to go.
Well, I didn't do that.
So we know that many organisms are spread through contact from your hands. You can infect yourself when you pick up organisms from surfaces, from foods and stuff like that. So we encourage persons to wash their hands properly. So that is always the highlight in infection control. The one main principle that can prevent healthcare associated infections, or any infections at all, to be honest. The old adage says, you know, cleanliness is next to godliness. So our hands need to be really clean in order for us to provide adequate care to our patients and prevent healthcare associated infections, which is the main challenge that we have.
All right.
Also, you said coming out of COVID, we still have some cases, and persons still have to wear masks. So wearing the mask appropriately and not wearing one mask forever and ever, because you don't have to probably change it too often. People don't think that they need to change it too often. We see a lot of dirty masks, people wearing the same mask over and over again, taking off, putting it in their pockets. We still need to dispose of the mask and get clean masks to protect ourselves.
All right, that's most certainly is some wonderful advice. Yeah, and the mask thing is real. Let me tell you, boy. It's easy to hook it over the gear shift in the car and be like, I have a mask in here, even though it says disposable. People, let's be completely honest with each other. Let's be honest with each other. All right, so for you, Mr. Jones, talk to me about, maybe one of the stark realities that you happened upon in coming into this particular area of the hospital.
So one of those would be, just as you said, hand hygiene. I find as Bajans, we just do a lot of hand signs. When we do a sanitizer, we say clean your hands, and we just ball it up. And then I got into this whole department, and I realized there's way more to this than just hand signs. And the importance of cleaning your hands really, really hits home, and we take it right back to COVID, because persons would think that COVID was a hoax and it's not real, but on a day-to-day basis, the most things that we use are our hands. And it's important that we keep those very, very, very clean, and to limit the spread of infections and stuff. So that's something that is imprinted in my head from COVID for sure.
Yeah, no, I loved Grey's Anatomy, and I obviously did not pay enough attention because in seeing how the doctors used to scrub in, like you must know that you're scrubbing away something if you have to work at cleaning your hands that much and all the way up to the elbows. So I definitely should pay more attention to the doctor's show. Not saying that's all of what happens at the QEH, because we know there was a lot of stuff happening on Grey's Anatomy. But back to what we're talking about, which of course is what we're talking about this week, Disease Prevention Week, Infection and Disease Prevention Week. I know that there's a presentation coming up. I'm not sure which of you is well equipped to tell us more about it.
Well, I can tell you a bit about it. Okay. In line with the theme for this year, Infection Prevention Control Week, we're celebrating the fundamentals of infection prevention, and it's not just for the month, it's for the whole year. And one of the things that happened to us this year, we would have submitted abstract presentations to IPIC, which is the guru of infection prevention based in Switzerland. And we didn't expect that those abstracts would have been accepted, and they accepted all 3 of them. And which is a really big achievement for ourselves, as well as the hospital, and for Barbados, because, well, and the Caribbean, because it has never happened before. And we were given that opportunity, supported by the Board of Management of QEH, to go to Switzerland in September to give those presentations. So on Thursday, we're going to be presenting The Road to Geneva, which is an abstract symposium, and we are going to share with our partners at the hospital, our other healthcare teams, basically our presentations, and hoping to foster a new chapter in having yearly abstract symposium, because we wanted to promote best practice. So we have findings, so we don't put recommendations to going forward.
Oh, that's truly excellent. And I know, on the international scene, we've been hearing a lot about many of these organisms that have become resistant to treatment, particularly antibiotics and things of that nature. So we really have to be far more mindful, Nurse Burton, about how we approach taking care of ourselves and our surroundings.
Right, so that has been part of the standards now, antimicrobial stewardship and infection control. As you say, globally, we're having challenges with antibiotic resistance. And we, in infection control, we also have the mandate to protect the staff and the patients from getting multi-drug resistant organisms. And it is a reality. We coming out of a big outbreak we had in 2012 for carbapenem resistant Klebsiella pneumoniae. We still struggle with that organism from time to time. And one of the strategies we have to use is, during our surveillance, is to isolate these patients so that it would not spread to other patients. So that is one of the biggest challenges we have in the hospital, preventing transmission of those multi-drug resistant organisms.
All right, so tell me all about your experience in traveling to Switzerland to do this presentation. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
It is truly an achievement for you to be able to put the hospital, Barbados, and as you said, the region on the map through your research and being able to present to the world. Yeah, so let's hear about your experience.
Well, my experience, it was the first thing. And transitioning from being an orderly into a whole different department is mind-boggling. So when I got there, I was like more reserved, like all of these big heads, all of these professionals, and here I am, poor little black boy, sitting amongst these people. And what touched me is there were a few persons who came to my abstract, and they actually went through my abstract with me, and they were asking about our policies back home and how we handle hand hygiene. And my abstract was based on pre- and post-COVID compliance and hand hygiene. And there are mechanisms out there that they're using that I hope soon we could implement in our own facility.
Oh, that's excellent. What about you, Ms. Gustav? Tell me about your experience.
Honestly, I was like a child in a candy store.
Wow.
Because as a researcher, one of the things that we have to do is base a lot of our studies on references. And it was a pleasure to be in rooms with persons that I reference in a lot of my studies. And to have, I met Dr. Didier Pitet, which is the hand hygiene guru. And to be in the same space with him, it was like a dream come through. And then to have him to say to me as a practitioner, if you need any assistance with any future research, give me a shout. So that was the highlight of my whole trip, amongst other things, but I think that was the one that I took with me. But if I was to be honest, when we got to Switzerland, I was a little reserved as well too. But being in a room with other professionals, you realize, you know what? You know your stuff. And to have other professionals that are senior or are experts in their field saying to you that you guys are doing a really good job, you're a researcher, excellent research and those kind of things, it takes you, like, you know what? We really are doing a good job. And Barbados is doing a really good job, and Queen Elizabeth Hospital is, and the QH should be really proud to have all three of us at their institution.
I agree. And, you know, we maybe have some of that in common as far as, you know, getting some lashes from the public. But we know there are always good things happening at the institution. So, again, congrats. Your experience, Nurse Burton.
Well, everyone knows that I don't like to travel, really. So that 10-hour flight was like, had to tolerate that. But getting there, we were able to network with a lot of other persons. You know, we look for persons of our complexion too. So you get to network with a lot of other persons. There weren't many, I can be honest, I did not see anyone else from any close Caribbean countries. To be honest, Barbados was probably the only Caribbean country represented there. So it felt really good to be representing not only QEH and Barbados, but the Caribbean. But we would have met some other Caribbean persons who would have been migrated to the US. And we networked with some of those persons. We were able to listen to a lot of studies that emphasize some of the challenges that we have as well, even though we're lower to middle income country. They still have some of the same challenges that we may face. But technology out there, you know, when it was demonstrated, is extreme. And we were really like to tap into those technological ideas and advances that they have though going forward. But we know it's costly, so
yeah. But it's wonderful, first of all, to be able to share, to have that knowledge, to be able to move forward. Now, did you do three separate
presentations?
So yours was on hand hygiene, generally. Yours was on...
Mine was looking also on hand hygiene, but I look at the training modalities. So with my project, I look at the 1-year training mandatory program, and I compare it with a continuous training program. So I'm looking at the training program for hand hygiene to see how effective it is amongst healthcare workers, which one persons responded better to.
All right, what about you, Nurse Burton?
Mine was about isolation challenges. We have about 11 rooms on Ward A6, and you have to hand it to the nurses on Ward A6 for all these years managing our isolation facility there. And we have some challenges with isolating patients because of the lower number of rooms that we have. Newer hospitals have wards built with side rooms that can house patients who have infections or multi-drug-resistant organisms, stuff like that on the unit. But we don't have that luxury here. So we have to utilize Ward A6, the back of Ward A6, which is very few rooms to isolate patients. And coming out of my study, it was shown that the most cause for isolation was for diarrheal illnesses. The second thing was the carbapenem-resistant clem that I spoke about earlier. And then probably query TB. You don't know if the person has TB, but those were the three top causes for isolation. So that was my presentation.
Well, and I know research takes time.
Yes.
Certainly when you do presentations, and that's just the beginning. And with research like this, I would imagine that it morphs, it changes, it expands, it grows, it breeds.
Yes.
So you can constantly add to or take away from. So again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very
so much.
proud that you three were able to go and represent the QEH first, Barbados second. Truly made us proud with the work that you're doing at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And would like to remind everybody on this International Infection Prevention Week to pay close attention to hand hygiene and remind the little ones as well. It's very important because a lot of the times if there is an outbreak of something happening at the nursery or in the schools, it gets in the homes. So you want to make sure that the little ones are fully equipped on how to wash their thumbs. All that wonderful stuff. That still freaks me out. Like, wash your thumb. I was like, how come I never washed my thumbs, people, until COVID? Yeah, I thought doing this was enough, you know. You would get a little, it's a roll. It's a little bit action going on.
There's a technique to it.
But no, I feel like during COVID, everybody was in tune with the washing, and now it's kind of on the back burner a little bit. So we definitely have to pay more attention. So again, thank you. I wish I could give you the day off as a congratulations. Unfortunately, I can't.
That's right.
But just know that that's in my thoughts. I'm thinking you should have the day off. And that song, Holiday, would be playing in the background all day. But again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And it's really wonderful to be able to sit down with you guys and hear what's happening in the corridors and the back rooms and inside of the hospital, because we often think of QEH only as A&E and the wards, and we don't see anything else. So just know that there are hundreds of personnel working behind the scenes to make the Queen Elizabeth Hospital work. And we're congratulating the team from Hospital Infection Prevention and Control this morning for the fantastic work that they're undertaking.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All right, so thank them very much. Hey, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're telling you all about some boss ladies who are working to empower and inspire women all across Barbados and the region. That's next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey, not only grown-ups can sing, we can too.
So easy on me, baby. I was still a child, didn't get the chance to.
CBC TV 8 is having a kids karaoke show just for us. So children between the ages of 5 to 17 come in and join in for fun. Email Nadia Foster at nfoster@cbc.bb. Hear you soon. Bye.
For the past 19 years, QFM has been sharing with you, learning from you, and together building a community for all mature audiences. That's why we say Q is good for you. To our Q family, we say thank you for staying connected to Q 100.7 FM. QFM is a station of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you indeed, and welcome back to this presentation of Morning Barbados. 12 minutes now after 7 o'clock. I'm sure you've heard about them before because there's been a lot of talk, certainly a lot of stir on social media as well. They've also had a few functions. I'm talking about Boss Ladies United, Inspire Women's Empowerment dinner and networking event is coming up. And they wanted to share a little bit more with you about this important event, but we want to start by hearing a lot more about Boss Ladies United. So let's say good morning to Alison Brown Ellis, who's founder and Chief Strategy Officer, Carrie Mapp, co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer, and Tricia Griffith, who is co-founder and Chief Operations Officer of Boss Ladies United. Good morning, Boss Ladies.
Good morning. Good morning, teacher. And good morning, Barbados. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Absolutely. And it's always great to see familiar faces.
I know.
All right, so I'm going to start with you, Alison. Talk to us a little bit for people who mightn't have heard about Boss Ladies United. Tell us a little bit about how the group got together and what you aim to do generally.
Thank you so much. Really happy to be able to share with you. Boss Ladies United is a professional development and networking association, which was birthed out of my book launch. Tisha, you would remember a few years ago that I actually launched the book Life Lessons, a professional please forgive me, sorry. Life Lessons, a purpose-driven leadership journey. And at that book launch, we actually brought some women together, and it was a phenomenal evening. And one of the things we realized was that the energy in the room was one that you don't see very often. So coming together with Tricia and Carrie, we decided that this was not a moment that we could let slip through our arms. There was more to be done to help women to succeed at life and to help support and guide each other. So Boss Ladies United is all about providing an empowering platform, providing an empowering level of engagement among women across all levels of life. For us, we don't see a boss lady as someone having a fancy title. We see boss ladies as a mindset, an attitude, and a way of life, and recognize that it's only through increased competence do you actually start to build the confidence that gives you the energy and the thrust and the drive to go after your respective goals. So a lot of what we do is tied to training. We have some staple programs. We have Time to Boss Up as one of our staple programs. We have Amplify. And this year we had the absolute pleasure as part of one of our networking activities to bring over almost 20 women together, and we went off to Dallas, Texas to benefit from a program, a conference, which was hosted by Sarah Jake Roberts, and that was called Woman Evolve. So a lot of what we do is really either the networking side or the training side to ensure that we can bring our women together and really help to inspire and create a platform for all women to win.
All right, excellent. I love that, creating a platform for all women to win. Now to you, Carrie. You have an event coming up called Inspire. So tell me a little bit more about Inspire and why you think it was necessary to have this event at this time.
Certainly. Good morning, Tisha, to you again, and good morning, Barbados. Inspired by Boss Ladies United, as Alison shared, was birthed out of really our drive to network, to support, and empower. And Inspire is just such, coming out of Alison's book launch, we thought, we'll provide the training, we'll provide those activities, but equally, we need to bring another event just as uplifting as that book launch held a couple years ago. So we held our first Inspire by Boss Ladies United last year, and we were classy in white. And this year, we've decided that we're going to paint the town red. And this event is scheduled for November 19th. It's a Saturday on 6 p.m. And it will be held at Sandals Royal. And we are expecting to have yet again, and sorry, forgive me, Sunday, not Saturday, Sunday, November 19th at 6 p.m. at Sandals Royal, which is Maxwell Coast Road in Christchurch. No, as I said before, we're getting ready to paint the town red, ladies, and it's all about a sea of red. It's going to be so much excitement, so much entertainment. We're asking persons to come out and support. Once again, we will be taking the opportunity to support our partner at Jabez House. So proceeds from this event will go towards Jabez House. We also have an element of what we call the Be Inspired Awards, where we identify a number of ladies who have been, empowering, supporting, outstanding in our community towards other ladies and their thrust towards their growth and building their confidence. It's all about empowerment, as Allison said. That's our thrust. That's what we're focused on. And again, this year we will pull on those phenomenal women in Barbados. Last year we would have had the Honorable Professor Eugene Barreto, and this year we're super excited to have our featured speaker as Miss Donna Bab Agard, who is the first female appointed this director of public prosecutions. So again, it's going to be a phenomenal night. Entertainment, I can't forget. We have Nisha Woods. I mean, Nisha, as all of us know, is one of our local powerhouses in entertainment here. So we really are expecting an exciting and inspirational night where women will leave feeling empowered, more confident in their thrust towards building, their goals and whatever they aspire to do.
All right, Tricia, talk to us a little bit about, you mentioned that you had an event last year. Now this time around, talk to us about what are some of the intricate things that we can look forward to. I know we heard about the special guests awards and the speakers and so on, but what are some of the other amazing things that we can look forward to that will add to this Inspire event?
Okay, I'll add, good morning, Barbados. Good morning, Carrie. So, Carrie, Allison, I'm running Tisha. Some of the intricate things as for ladies, you're coming up in red. Last year, you'd come up in all white, but it's going to be an elegant event. Ladies come out, they dress fantastic, fabulously. We're going to have photo booths. You're going to have a chance to take pictures with your friends. Persons you get to network. It's going to be a wide variety of different persons from different fields within the event, and we always encourage persons to network. You never know who you might meet at the event. We have the 360 booth. So all in all, is a fabulous, elegant, relaxing event. All we ask for the ladies, come out, support, come with an open mind and have some fun.
All right, wonderful. I want to thank you ladies for coming through. You have to come and spend some actual time with me on the couch. The squares don't work,
But before we go to
so that we can have an actual conversation. And what truly is inspirational about your story is that you guys have a backstory. I think it's important to highlight long-standing friendships amongst women, long-standing relationships that turn into business relationships and inspirational trysts, journeys, flights, just through the years, because I know that you guys have a couple decades among you in terms of friendship, and that makes all the difference in sharing your story about Boss Ladies United, not just people that you just met. Yeah, and I have the fortune of knowing you for a long time too, so
yes,
I'm on the outskirts.
Very low, teacher.
Lifelong, really. Yes, Allison, in closing.
I just wanted to say before we close, before you wrap up, that tickets are still available. Persons can collect at either Intermix Sky Mall or Vibrant in Haggett Hall. They're actually Vibrant in Lanterns. They're actually one of our key or platinum sponsors. We do have a whole slew of sponsors this year. We're really, really thankful. Cape Shepherd and Company has come on board again this year as a platinum sponsor, and we do have gold and silver sponsors also who've seen the value of what we do. Just want to especially mention EY in Barbados, because outside of this event, they have adopted us as part of their corporate social responsibility. So I'm really honored that team has seen the value in the work that we're doing to help inspire and elevate women all across Barbados.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us this morning. Have a fantastic day today, ladies.
Thank you.
I wish you the very best on the event that's coming up for all Boss Ladies. Get your red together and get out, because I'm told it will be an ultra exclusive, very elegant event. So bring out your best dresses. All right. Best wishes, ladies. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, ladies. Thanks, team.
All right. And remember, you can follow them online on Instagram, The Boss Ladies United. The website is thebossladiesunited.com as well, or Life Lessons by abe.com is the book that Alison would have told you about that got all of this energy going with the ladies. We're going to take another break and come back. There's so much more to hear about and enjoy when Morning Barbados returns. Stay with me.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you a youth group, 4-H club, school, Cub Scout, or Brownie Pack? Or any organization or club with children ages 4 to 11 years? If yes is the answer, then we at Fun School, we're looking for you. Let's have fun singing, dancing, listening to amazing stories, doing craft, and so much more. I'm such a kid at heart. But to be part of this fun and exciting new season of Fun School, just simply send an email to Alicia Alves Grant at aa.grant@cbc.bb for further details. Fun School is back, and we're looking for you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, so welcome back. So I told you that today we were going to be commencing a new series that we're going to share with you throughout the coming weeks here on Morning Barbados. So let's welcome Deborah Francis, who is project coordinator with Seasons for Growth, Grief and Loss Education. And today we're looking at a very interesting topic. And this is something that I dare say goes directly against the culture in Barbados and the Caribbean. It has changed a bit over the years, but there are many people who took pride in saying things like children should be seen and not heard. So today we want to focus in on the importance of, in the context of growth, grief, and loss, the importance of children being heard. So again, good to have you with us.
Thank you. Good morning, T. Good morning, Barbados.
All right, so talk to us about why it's important for children to be heard.
Okay, it's important for children to be heard because at what point do we start listening to people? And when something has actually happened with a child, when are we going to focus on them if we don't encourage them to talk about it? When there has been grief within a family, for example, we as adults expect the children to just walk right through it all and come out unscathed at the end, but we haven't heard their side of how they're actually feeling about it. We carry a lot of grief and loss with us and we're acting from a place of pain the majority of the time if we don't talk about how we've been feeling. So it's important then that we can actually have children manage their feelings so it doesn't manifest itself into disruptive behaviour, dysfunctional behaviour, and sometimes clinical intervention later down the line. So that's why it's important that we do listen to children and what they have to say, how they're feeling about certain situations. And that can be painful for some adults to hear because we don't always necessarily want to face the reality of what it is a child is feeling because it can sometimes mirror how we actually feel.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of the ways that children can experience this loss. Because when we think of a sense of loss, we often always go to death. But that's not the only way that we can experience loss.
No, not at all. It could be death, it could be divorce, separation, incarceration, relocation as well is actually a huge one because during COVID, several people had actually lost their homes because they'd lost their jobs. And so therefore you have children who have been separated from their siblings. Some are living with a grandparent, some are living with a neighbour until the parents can get themselves back together again and sometimes get a home back together again. So there's losses in many, many ways. Even if it's a divorce or a death, you'll find that people think, well, the child is grieving because of that person that's passed away or has left. It could sometimes be the family that they actually no longer see. And we find that oftentimes with a separation, the grandparents from one side, the child no longer sees, and their cousins. And as I'm sure you're familiar with, children are closer to their cousins oftentimes than their own siblings. And so they've actually lost that family as well as the person who's actually left the family. And that's been a big thing for children to deal with as well. So we're having cases of children that have been self-harming, and that's their way of coping. The pain is sometimes greater in their head than the pain that they're inflicting on themselves. And so that's one of the areas that we focus on also.
Let's spend a moment on self-harming, what it is, how it's done sometimes, because I've seen some really peculiar ways that people self-harm, from, burning themselves. I've experienced young people who burn themselves with lighters, and there are others who, they're involved with cutting and things like that. And there are a lot of parents who aren't aware. So what are some of the signs we're looking for, and outline some of this self-harm we're talking about?
The thing is, oftentimes you may not even see that they're self-harming, because one area is that children may cut themselves in areas that you can't see, which is their inner thigh, for example. You find that children are actually taking drugs as a way of coping as well, which is actually self-harming if you're going to break it right down. You find that children, as you say, burning themselves with cigarettes. Children are actually using needles to lift their skin, and then they can rub tattoos into their skin as well. There's so many different ways that they do it. So what we hope to do is to have the children, talk out what they've been going through. And it's not one-to-one talking, it's peer education. So there are no more than 8 children and no less than 4 in each session. So we have them together as a group for 1 hour, 1 day a week, each week for 11 weeks. Okay, and once the children realize that they're not in isolation and they're not alone, what they're going through oftentimes is what others have been through themselves, they then start to talk and then start to recognize that it's a safe place that they can talk about their feelings and their emotions. So we tend to, once we've come across children or encountered children who have been self-harming, there are agencies that deal with that. We have to then hand it over, whether it be to the principal or to the childcare board. This needs to be dealt with before it escalates into something far worse. And that's the way that we cope with that.
What are some of the warning signs? What should parents, guardians, friends, relatives be looking for in recognizing that children might be experiencing grief or loss in a way that they really can't cope?
For people to recognize that, you have to know as an individual what you yourself are going through. Your children are watching what you're going through. And if there has been someone that's no longer within the household, or you've had to relocate your children, it's going to affect your children. Whatever is affecting you is largely going to affect your children, because your children can pick up your emotions in the first instance. They know they're no longer at an address that they once were at. They know that there's someone missing from the household. They're going to feel it. If they've changed from one school to another, they're going to feel it, because they're not robots. They know exactly what's going on around them, and they know that from a very young age. They may not talk about it, and so when children don't talk about something, we assume, well, they're all right, they haven't said, but they're internalizing. And if you find that your child is becoming more and more withdrawn, they're less likely to talk about it. We need to have that conversation with our own children and ask them, how are you feeling? What's your opinion on this? We have to hear what they have to say. And a child will most likely say, well, I'm fine, there's nothing wrong. But we know deep within, you know your own child, that there must be something going on there. So drip, drip, you're going to have a conversation with them. It's important to have conversations with them. And if you can't do it yourself, find someone who can, possibly an auntie, an uncle, someone within the family. And that way you'll find that it could be even a teacher, someone within the school. But when children are referred to the program, they're ultimately referred by the school, and the school send out letters to the family and say, this is a program that's available to you. And the program, by the way, is free of charge. It's important that there's no cost that you can put on grief and loss. So it's important to know that it's a free program. And they send the letters to the families. The families then reach out to the school and say, listen, my child has been going through X, Y, and Z. Refer them to the program. When we've spoken with the children and we've listened to them, it's not always what the family think it is. Again, as I said, it could be that the child has lost someone within the household. Who and what they're grieving about is not what you expected. It could be the grandmother that they no longer see. It could be the cousins they no longer see. It could be the area that they've been relocated to, they're missing where they came from. That's their identity. That's who they are as a person. That's changed with pretty much no warning at all. We know what's happening, we know what's coming next, but the children find out oftentimes at that time or after. So,
all right.
yeah.
Tell me more about the program itself, how it came into development. You're now in schools or associated with the schools as well. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
All right. The program actually started in 1996, and it started in New Zealand. And the program is now in Australia, New Zealand, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, some of the international schools in Sweden, Singapore. And I brought it here in 2021, and we were still in lockdown. But of course, the trauma and the emotions that the children were going through were very difficult to deal with, simply because there was no outlet for the children. And when I first started the program, the first children I had, they said, "Ma'am, when I close my tablet or my laptop, I haven't got any friends," because they were still homeschooled. And they had been going through the trauma of hearing how many people have been lost through COVID, their gender, their age, and they all said that they thought COVID was coming for their family. And the trauma that they've been seeing on the television day after day after day, it was having a huge impact on them. So to get the program working within the schools, we started off at the community centres, community resource centres, but that meant the children had to come to us. So it was then important to work, once the schools had reopened, get the program into the schools. And then we have facilitators who the University of the West Indies have been cherry picking people who have actually got a degree in social work, psychology, and we would then train them to deliver the program to the children at the schools. We do have an adult program that's coming up, which is vitally important, so that parents can help their own children going through grief and loss. It might be parents that have a broken relationship themselves, parents of people who have lost a job. You've had a job for 25 years. Then what happens? You've lost your job and you've lost your friends. You've lost your way of life. And that in itself is trauma. So it's important that that doesn't impact the children. You've got a safe space to talk and to be able to talk that out.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Deborah Francis, for sharing with us today, Project Coordinator for Seasons for Growth, Grief and Loss Education, a program now for young students, for children. There will be between the ages of
6. Well, we go from 6 to 18.
6 to 18. A program is coming on stream for adults soon. But like I said, this is a new series we're working on. So we're going to be looking at different topics as we go through the weeks and months with Deborah. Now, don't forget what we talked about today, the importance of children being heard. Bear that in mind as you go through your day and interact with your little ones. All right, thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. Could I just mention, we actually have a concert at the Combermere School this Saturday from 4 until 7 at Combermere School. So there'll be lots of information there, and we're hoping as many seats could be filled so that every seat that's filled, the children can actually see how many people care. Some of the children who are actually taking part in it are children who were unable to talk out their grief and loss. And of course, we have some entertainers there like G Syndicate, Voices for Lupus Choir. So I just thought I'd give that a plug there, if that's all right.
All right. An opportunity for the children to share. Absolutely wonderful idea. Yeah. We'll share more as we go through the week as well.
Thank you so much.
So just share the information with us. We're going to take a break here and come back on Morning Barbados. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back to Morning Barbados. We've been introducing you over the last few weeks to a number of the people who will be heading out to represent Barbados at the Pan American Games coming off in Santiago, Chile. This morning, we'd like to welcome Daniel Griffith, so that's Danielle Titus, swimming, Daniel Griffith, weightlifting, Chioke Holder, taekwondo, and Anya Pilgrim, gymnastics. Good morning. Good to have you with us. All right, let me start with you, Danielle. Talk to me about how you got into swimming.
Well, it was more so I was kind of forced because I have an older sister, and she went to this swim camp and she ended up loving it, and she wanted to join like at the aquatic center, and my parents were like, well, we're not just gonna put one in, so they decided to put both of us, and I'm the last one standing, I guess. So yeah, that's how it started.
All right. Well, I'm sure that there's no forcing at this point in time because you're to a place where you're representing Barbados. So talk to me about how you've been able to grow swimming over the years.
I would say it's definitely been hard. Like, I guess as the years went on, because a lot of people started to go overseas to swim and for school and stuff. So I would say just like having my family there and like everyone to like help me keep pushing and whatever to even be where they are at now, like being in college and stuff. So I would say it's been a great experience. I've learned a lot, and I would say that it has been worth it, putting in all that effort over all these years.
All right. It's wonderful to hear that see it as worth it after thinking that you were kind of thrust into participating. What about you, Daniel? You do weightlifting. So how did that all begin?
Well, I wasn't the biggest person growing up, so I was trying my hardest to play football, and what I really needed to do was get into the gym, and so it wasn't conventional per se. What happened was that I went down to the stadium because of a family connection with the coach, and basically what happened from there was that I started to like playing football less and started like training in weightlifting more, and here I am now. That's how that went.
All right. The next area is taekwondo. Yeah? Talk to me about this taekwondo, okay? How did you get into taekwondo?
Okay. For taekwondo, it was actually on my birthday that I started taekwondo a few years ago. And I was introduced by a friend, and my instructor and coach now, Mr. Henderson Turton, would have been like, yes, come along in and have a session, try it out. I was in the car park waiting, but he insisted on me coming in. And then after that session, I was just in love. And here we are now, a few years later, representing Barbados. We're very, very grateful for that introduction.
Oh, that's truly wonderful. These are some great stories of introductions to what a lot of the times at primary school and secondary school we just call extracurricular activities, but now they truly are life-changing activities because here you are all going to represent your country. Just like Anya Pilgrim, who participates in gymnastics. Now, I know that started with parents. Tell me about how you got into it, Anya. Surprise us.
Yeah, so my mom noticed I had energy and I used to sleep in splits, so she decided to sign me up for classes. So eventually I progressed really quickly and made it onto the team, and then I've had success ever since.
All right, let's hear about those successes. So Talk to me about all the wonderful things that you have been able to do through your involvement with gymnastics over the years, leading up to participating in the Pan American Games, of course.
This past year was my favorite. I had the opportunity to go to Worlds for Barbados, and I also came second in the all-around at my national championships this past year, which was really big for me. And before that, I was on Team USA, so I was on the U.S. national team and competed for them as well. So I've had a lot of experiences here in the sport through the years.
All right, well, we're happy to have you now on Team Barbados. Go Team Barbados. Yeah, Team USA is okay. It's okay. Team Barbados is where it's at. Right, Daniel? So talk to me about some of your successes competing in the field of weightlifting that have all led up to where you are today.
Mine are probably a little bit more subdued. I would have competed in a couple of invitational events overseas. I also went to Commonwealth Championships earlier this year. Coming off of injury at that time, I didn't do as well as I would have hoped, but I'm hoping that things have turned around now. I see on screen that this would have been me at World Championships last year. This is probably the best I've been so far, and I get a little bit passionate sometimes, especially when things go my way. So bear with me on that video. But other than that, I have competed in our local competition as well, which we're looking to grow as well. Get the sport a little bit more into the spotlight, and that's Phillips and Springer. But that pretty much is the extent of my competition experience for now.
Well, it certainly is a great deal. Don't minimize the amount of work that you've put in and the accomplishments that you've made. They truly are remarkable. What about you, Chioke? I know that practice for you is an everyday thing. I've talked, for all of you really, but for Taekwondo is some kind of special. So talk to me about some of the things you've been able to accomplish through the years because of your involvement with Taekwondo.
Okay, so we would have started Taekwondo fairly recently. Actually, in 2019 is when I would have started Taekwondo. So it's been a very steep learning curve over the last 4 years or so. We would have made our international debut. It would have been last year, if I remember correctly. And from there, we would have been able to go to an invitational in Dallas. I think that's what you're seeing on screen right now, actually. So this would have been a month after I would have gotten my black belt. So quite green, quite new in the international scene, on the international scene. And then from there, this year, we have had a very, very busy year. We would have been going to CAC qualifiers as well as the Pan Am qualifiers, as well as the World Championship, which would have been in Azerbaijan. At each of those outings, we have noticed, my coach and I, as well as the rest of the team in Barbados, would have noticed that we kept improving. So at first it was, okay, he has potential, we're getting there. But each time we get closer and closer. And one of the things that for my division, being the heavyweight division in the Pan American region, we have some very tough competition. So each time I go up and down, I go up against Olympians, which is quite difficult, but we definitely are grateful for the experience and we keep doing better against these persons. So we're very grateful all around.
Oh, that's excellent. What about you, Danielle? Swimming can be quite grueling as well in terms of practice. I've had a few friends who've become Olympians, and I know it calls for a lot of commitment, mornings and evenings at the pool and just juggling all of it. I know you're accustomed because now it's a family sport based on what you've told us. So talk to me about some of your accomplishments.
Well, this year's been pretty interesting because I think the beginning of this year, I was injured, so I was pretty much out for my college season. But then afterwards, I gradually was able to like work my way back up, and I competed at the World Championships. I did not do as well as I hoped, but given the extent to which how long I was out for swimming, I'd give myself a little pat on the back for that. This, however, I think this is Commonwealth. Yes, Commonwealth Games. I did not do as well as I hoped. I made a semifinal in one of the backstrokes. I think it's this one. I'm not too sure. But I think it was a great experience being there, and my mom and everyone was there. And it was just nice being a part of like the team, and so that was kind of like a motivator for me to keep pushing through everything, and then be here now competing for Barbados again. And actually, my goal is to like do something here and make a name for myself.
All right, that's truly excellent. I want to thank you. Representing weightlifting, taekwondo, gymnastics, and of course swimming, just a few members of the team announced by the Barbados Olympic Association, a part of a 30-member team heading off to Santiago, Chile from October 20th to November 5th to represent our beloved Barbados. Go Team Barbados. I wish you all the very best. You're going to be among 6,000 athletes from across the Americas participating in 38 sports with the opportunity to qualify for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris at stake. It is major. Team Barbados will compete in 20 disciplines: aquatics, athletics, badminton, boxing, cycling, e-football, equestrian, golf, gymnastics, rowing, sailing, shooting, squash, surfing, table tennis, taekwondo, tennis, triathlon, weightlifting, and wrestling. So congratulations to you, and I wish you the very best. I'm looking for all those medals when you guys come back, all right? So best wishes. I know you're going to do your best.
Thank you.
Where are you, though? Where is everybody? Are you at the Barbados Olympic Association? I certainly wasn't looking forward to seeing all of you. Well, not looking forward. I didn't think you would be all together, because I know you don't all live together. So where did you meet up for the interview?
We're already in Santiago. Yeah. We're already on the floor in Santiago.
Oh, so you're there. Good stuff.
Yes.
I didn't know that. So wonderful to connect with you. All right. Do your best. Have a good time. Good to speak with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. So they're already there. Good stuff. I'm loving that. All right. So send up some prayers for Team Barbados. We're sure they're going to do well. And I certainly hope that we have a lot of people who get that opportunity of a lifetime to represent Barbados for the 2024 Olympics. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're taking you to England with Jaquila Lewis. She went out and represented for Q in the Community, the London edition, and she's here to bring us up to speed on everything that happened. That's next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Oh, hi. My name is Stacia Whitaker, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and a member of the Heart and Stroll Childhood Obesity Prevention Coalition. My motto is, when in doubt, leave it out, and it goes for when I'm eating, because sometimes things have ingredients that we're not sure of, and I like to keep it simple. And if I'm eating something and I'm not sure the ingredients in that particular thing, then I choose to leave it out. So I keep my snacking simple with fruit, nuts, or just water. It's easy to remember, there's no added ingredients, and it's also very nutritious. So remember, childhood obesity is real, so choose healthier alternatives. And when in doubt, leave it out.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, one of the brands that we're absolutely proud of here at CBC is the Q brand. And I know you guys love Q in the community as well. We've had an opportunity over the years to share Q with people across the diaspora. And these days, we've been taking in some of what's going on in England. Jaquila is the host of Q in the community, and she joins us now to tell us more about it. Good morning,
Good morning
Lady J.
to you, Tisha. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. For those people who listen in,
Yes.
Lady J,
Yes.
in the afternoons from 3 to 8.
On Q 100.7 FM.
Because then, of course, you have the news at
Yes.
7 o'clock. But you jet off to England a little while ago.
Yes.
For another Q in the community with the diaspora. Tell me
Indeed.
more about it.
It was absolutely amazing. From the time I touched down at Heathrow Airport, I felt the difference, the chill in the air, even though the sun was shining. And then, of course, we had Q in the community at Oakington Manor School on Oakington Drive, and it was so close to Wembley Stadium. It was beautiful. But what I thought would have been the major highlight for me was the people. So many Barbadians who left Barbados years ago, who settled there in London, and who had so many phenomenal stories to share. I met so many people from St. Philip, so many Philippines. They said, girl, I got to tell you about my story. They were always so willing to share their stories. They were so warm and so welcoming. And over there, they love oldies too, you know. They love oldies, and so many people in the diaspora, they have their children, generations of children who they've passed on those Bajan traditions. I remembered meeting a young man, just 6 years old, and I asked him, what do you love? What are some of those things your father has taught you about Barbados? He said, I love the food. I said, what do you love? He said, bakes. You can imagine, 6 years old. They were so proud to be able to have that connection with Barbados. And the organizer, Mr. Tyrone Roach, he's from Black Rock, and he always stays abreast with everything happening here in Barbados. I also saw the Deputy Commissioner, High Commissioner there, Mr. Charles Morris, and he danced from the beginning to the end. You know, it's such an amazing brand that we can give that level of exposure to Barbados, and so many people keep that connection. They watch Q in the community live week after week. People from Essex, from all over England, who were able to say, well, I've seen what's happening in Barbados, and a lot of them said to me, I will be home in November for the independence celebrations. So it was truly a phenomenal experience.
Oh, that's wonderful. Talk to me about what was there on the ground, because I know usually, you know, sad to say, some of the best fish cakes I ever got was at an event that was put on by the BTMI in the UK when I was there to celebrate Barbados' 50th, I think it was. And they just made, I said, it's like being home.
Yes.
So, you know, what was happening on the grounds of the school where you were?
Like home away from home. Oakington Manor School is very big. So we had two halls. The main hall was where all the action was. You saw the seniors going down to the ground, learning the line dancing. They were having a phenomenal time. That's where the main entertainment was. We did have food there, but then in the other hall was for the fine dining. So yes, you got the fish cakes, you got the sauce and those types of things. But of course you had the macaroni pie. You had a lot of the other fine cuisine that we love here in Barbados. And on the outside, we had the vendors. So you saw a lot of people with the Bajan outfits. You had a lot of the jewelry. And I met a Juicy ambassador. Can you remember when the Juicy factory was on Bay Street?
Listen, Jaquila, let's not compare notes when it comes to timing or age, because I remember when I remember when people used to try to stuff juices in bottles in their bags to take back to the same England.
But no, there's a Juicy ambassador there. Obviously, we don't have Juicy here in Barbados anymore.
I understand we have some video to share, so we can share that video as you speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
a Juicy ambassador.
Yeah, so she imports them from St. Vincent. Her mother is Barbadian. Her father is Vincentian. And so many people were flocking to get a Juicy slush. Yeah, I had one. I never had one before. And they just bought these items. We also had a lot of people who had their Shirley biscuits. They got soda bakes, pepper sauce, seasoning, everything you could think of to give them a piece of home. They bought all of those items. It was truly amazing.
Oh, that is wonderful. So this is you chatting with some of the people who were there.
Ambassador.
That can be purchased here in the UK, and also it's produced also in St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well. But you can obtain your juices from Caribbean Trade, www.caribbeantrade.co.uk. We also do Juicy as a slush, so if you don't like it carbonated, we do Juicy, so we do red and pine as a slush for the Juicy.
Now, Fiona, I was told that you have some Bajan roots.
I do.
Your
have
mom is Bajan, right? Am I correct?
100% Bajan.
Wow.
Yeah. She was born in St. Philip. She's a Philippine. What? So here we have Esther, who I think she's currently serving somebody at the moment. But yeah, she was born in Barbados, and she was one of the Windrush children that came over from Barbados to join her family. So yeah.
That's wonderful. So you have the Bajan roots. Have you ever been to Barbados?
I have been to Barbados. I was there back in March.
Wow.
I love Barbados.
You love the sunshine. What do you love about it? Tell me.
I like the sunshine. I love the heat. I love the beer. I love the rum. You name it. I'm half Vincy, half Bajan, and I love my Caribbean islands.
I love the fact that you've held on to your Caribbean roots.
I love the beer. I love the rum. I love the sun. I love the heat. You know, she definitely loves Barbados.
Indeed.
Tequila, as you mentioned, it was a fantastic experience.
It was.
And I'm sorry that I can't hear more about it. I'm so excited to hear about what happened. But we have Q here in Barbados, of course, every single week.
We do, and we're going to be heading to Golden Square Car Park on Thursday, right in the heart of the city. And, you know, each and every week we invite everybody to come on out, dance. You can enjoy dominoes, great food. Tisha, you have to come and try the food. For sure. Q in the community, I got to say a special thanks to Mr. Tyrone Roach, Maureen and his team for another successful London edition of Q in the community. It was a wonderful experience.
And of course, you can listen out for Jaquila, 3 o'clock on Q100.7 FM. Join her on the roof deck.
Yes. Thank you,
With
Tisha.
the entire Q family. They're going to be on the roof deck from 3 o'clock. All right. Throughout the next couple weeks, we're going to get to know the personalities on our radio stations a whole lot more as they come spend a little time with us here on Morning Barbados. Hey, that's our time. As you go through your day today, remember to wear a smile, do something nice for someone else, and be sure to come on back tomorrow because we're chatting with the HR Association of Barbados. It's Menopause Day, so we have to talk about it. I've told myself I'm not talking about that because I'm not going to experience it. Oh, no, we're going to talk about that. The Caribbean Global Hybrid Awardee is going to be here. We have books for you in the next chapter and so much more. That's tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. And God willing, see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.